All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Baylor Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. You know, it's last week when we had you on Tuesday, the very next day, of course, the NCAA came out with their findings. We had asked you about that for about, 9 years, it seemed like, and about every other week or so, and the one time we don't, and the next day that popped. How relieved are you? I know that's maybe not the right word. So much to think about, but that now is in your rearview mirror, and you don't have to wonder when.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Glad to have it, in the rearview mirror and be able to look forward and know what our sanctions are. Be able to deal with those. I think. Relieved is probably as good a word as any. It's been that black cloud, right? That's been over us for 5 years. Before I arrived in August 2016. That started back in April or May when some of our folks got on a plane and went to the NCAA and. Said, hey, we might have NCAA violations here, and so it's been a long process, and just glad to be at the finish line, and it restores some faith in the process. Baylor did a lot as an institution. To change over the course of the last 5 years, and I think there was some recognition given to that, and so grateful for that. And then I thought the Committee on Infractions did a really good job, and I'm not going to say it was easy, just navigating. And not crossing lines and really staying true to their area of governance, and given all of the surrounding media reports and conversations and just all of that, they stayed and remained focused. And again, not easy to do. So, and I thought, quite frankly, I couldn't say much, but I thought that was really the case. That was going to be the deciding factor is, did they stay anchored to NCAA rules and governance, versus, outside of those, and again, it was a different day. There was the relief, but there was also just a memory of why and how we got here, and I'll reiterate it that the victims. And just so sorry to them, feel for them. I can't even begin to think, their emotion last week. But what happened, 5 years ago can never ever happen again.
Mac, I came away very impressed with, and not that I already hadn't been, but the way that both you and especially Dr. Livingstone handled the media, the Zoom call that we had last week. And it's really no surprise to me that she's on the committee now working for the new governance rules for the NCAA. Is that due in large part to pretty much what she's done over her time to address this specific issue at Baylor?
I think, Paul, I think that's certainly a part of it. And I think it speaks to, the changes we've made. She gets appointed to that committee and board of governors and is vice chair of the CEOs in the Big 12. I get appointed to the football oversight committee, and so I think there's trust within our league as it pertains to Baylor. And so, I think we're both really, really grateful for that. And, Dr. Livingstone has been, she's been terrific. As we've navigated, all of this. So, grateful to, as you said at the very beginning, Smoak, to have this in our rearview mirror.
Matt Rule obviously took the job knowing that at any moment while he was head coach, this decision could be coming down. That wasn't the case. He was off to the NFL, and this thing drug out another couple years afterwards. But Dave Aranda did the same thing. What was that like to have that conversation with Dave Aranda, to have that finality and be able to discuss, the ramifications of the decision?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a positive conversation, and Coach Aranda has been terrific through it all. He's always had the motto, control what we can control. I know that he addressed negative recruiting, and I think he was a real pro in how he addressed that. I do think this institution has been faced with that since the notice of allegations, since that became public, and he's been a champion. And when we hired him, just like when we hired Matt, we were very transparent. I worked with our outside counsel and provided each of them with as much information as we were allowed to provide, and didn't want either one of them walking into the situation without as much transparency as we could provide. And I know Coach Aranda, Coach Rule was saying we're great for that. And this place is special, and both of those individuals. And you think about career decisions. You think about Coach Rule, Group of Five school. His first opportunity to be at a Power Five school, and then Coach Aranda, assistant coach, first head coaching job. Those are careful decisions, and the fact that they had faith in the institution, they had faith in the leadership, and never wavered from that. I believe that's why Matt was able to do what he did during his time here, and that's exactly why Coach Aranda is gonna do the same thing.
And I got a text from Matt Rule that day. I'm not sure if he reached out to you. I'm sure he did, but he was thrilled for you guys as far as where you were. Now, from that moment, I want to ask you about negative recruiting. What do you do about negative recruiting, and how if you knew some of the stories that have been shared with your staff or has shared with you, what would you do if that was someone on your side doing the same thing in certain ways?
Yeah, they won't be here. I mean, we're just not going to do that. If that's how we have to convince a young person to come here by saying bad things about another institution or another individual, they're not going to be here. That's not in our DNA. I'm not going to say it's never happened. If it has, I'm not aware of it. At least while I've been here, but we're not going to do that. And those that have against us, I think there's been a moment or time where I've actually reached out to that head coach personally, or I've reached out to the athletic director, and then there's been some times where you just, hey, you reap what you sow, and At some point in time, it's going to come back to get you. So again, not saying that we're perfect, but we're not gonna do that.
All right, what about the story involving the alliance of what at least is being reported? Max Olson's a great reporter with The Athletic about the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the ACC, looking at whatever that is. I know that Bob Bowlesby met with the commissioner of the Pac-12. We spoke with you last week about that, about whatever that might be. When you see that, does that get your blood pressure up a little bit that the Big 12 was not a part of that, if in fact true?
Yeah, I think candidly, yeah. I mean, I don't think you care if that doesn't, raise your temperature a little bit. We got some intel probably, that day before it started to leak a little bit. And I think the Athletic, Max wrote that, I think that came out maybe early evening that Friday. But, I think there's a lot of detail, still, and the purpose behind it. What are the objectives? What are the goals? I don't necessarily believe at this point in time that the Big 12 won't be included. I think, there's this conversation certainly, amongst the three. And, I think probably, in my opinion, the Pac-12 was out, kind of in the lead position, circulating the idea. But I think there's a lot more to flush out is it a strategic alliance when you think about, future governance, legislation, and that type of alignment? Is it, the scheduling piece, which, that will take some time to figure out, and adding, additional quality non-conference games. Are you getting to a point where you're going to go 8-2-2 or 8-3-1? Thinking about that, or is everybody going to nine conference games? So I think, is it, positioning for CFP spots? And so, I think there's, I think those three conferences are still, trying to figure out what this would mean. And I think the story got out there, and a credit to Max, but the story got out there well before, even, all presidents and maybe even ADs in those conferences realized that this may even be a concept.
That's actually what was said by some presidents and ADs of SEC schools about what happened when the story popped with Texas and Oklahoma. That's how tight it was, I guess, in some ways. Last question for you. We appreciate your time. I know it's a little bit later in the hour than we normally keep you. Do you feel any more confident, or is it still too early to know? You mentioned to us the last time we had you on that you will remain a Power 5 or whatever that means, Autonomy 5 program going forward. Do you feel any better now than you did a week or two or three ago when the story about Texas and Oklahoma popped?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I don't know that I feel any better or worse, right? I believe that, Baylor is a special product. I believe our brand has grown tremendously. You think about this institution. You think about what we're doing athletically. We've changed a lot, and it's been positive. And I think we're on a trajectory. And as mentioned, the brand The brand is growing, and I do. I really believe that we're gonna have a moment when there's opportunity, and that may be the Big 12 growing and remaining Power 5 and all of those things, and hopefully just candidly for the 8 of us, because I've got such tremendous respect for the other 7. That's what happens. But as everyone knows, I've got to make sure that we have to make sure that Baylor lands in a good place, and I still feel extremely positive about that. And we're gonna work like crazy, and I think we're doing that. And I think strategy, all of those things. I reminded our staff yesterday, the best strategy we can have is control what we can control and be the very, very best that we can be. And so that certainly is part of our focus. But we're in the process of continuing to work and make sure that Baylor lands in a great place.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate your time as always.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Mac Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Tuesdays, most every Tuesday on and off.